The sun rose slowly over the wide green fields of Clover Ranch. It was the biggest farm in the county.
Morning, everyone.
Howdy, Sarah. Long day ahead.
Hundreds of workers came every morning to pick crops and tend the land. The owner of this farm was a man named Thomas Cole. Thomas was not old, but he was tired in his heart. 3 years ago, Thomas had a beautiful wife named Clara. She wore fine dresses and smiled at him in public. But behind closed doors, she counted his money more than she looked at his face. When a richer man came to town, Clara left. She packed her bags on a Tuesday morning and did not look back. Thomas stood in his empty house for a long time. He was not angry. He was just quiet. She did not love me, he thought. She loved what I had. From that day, Thomas made a decision. If he ever looked for love again, he would find a woman who loved a simple man, not a rich one. Thomas called his farm manager, Old Pete, and told him the plan. I'm going to work in my own fields, Thomas said. As a worker, nobody tells the new people who I am. Pete looked at him with wide eyes. Sir, that's a little strange. Maybe, Thomas said, but I need to know if a woman can love a man with dirty boots and an empty pocket. Pete shook his head slowly, but he agreed. The next Monday, Thomas showed up at the fields in plain clothes. A worn brown shirt, old trousers, and boots with mud still on them. He carried a water bottle and a small lunch wrapped in cloth. He told the workers his name was Tom. Just Tom. A new hand. Nobody questioned him. There were always new workers at Clover Ranch. It was on his third day that he saw her. She was sitting alone under the old oak tree at the edge of the field, eating her lunch in silence. The other women had moved their group far to the other side, laughing loudly and throwing looks in her direction. Her name, Thomas learned, was June. June was not flashy. She had plain brown hair tied back with a simple ribbon, and her dress was clean but faded. She worked quietly and never complained, even when the sun was cruel and the rows were long. But the other women did not like her.
I'm telling you, it was the easiest job of the week. Look at them, the rest are still struggling. She's right.
There was a woman named Rosa who led the group of female workers. Rosa was loud and sharp-tongued, and she liked to be in charge of everything, including who was welcome and who was not. June had made the mistake of correcting Rosa once, gently and kindly, when Rosa gave wrong instructions about sorting the tomatoes. She had not meant any harm, but Rosa never forgot it. From that day, Rosa made June's life small and hard. The women moved away when June sat near them. They whispered and laughed behind her back.
Look at her sitting there all by herself. I know, just like she always does. She acts like she's too good for us. Let's just ignore her.
They took the best picking baskets and left June the broken ones. Once, they hid her lunch cloth and she went hungry until evening. Thomas watched all of this. He said nothing at first, but he watched. One afternoon, Thomas finished his row early. He looked over and saw June struggling with a heavy crate of apples. The crate was too big for one person, but no one was helping her. He walked over without a word and picked up the other side. June looked up, surprised. "You don't have to," she said. "I know," Thomas said simply. They carried it together to the collection shed. June thanked him quietly. Thomas nodded and went back to his row. The next day, he brought an extra sandwich. He sat near the old oak tree at lunch. He did not force conversation. He just sat there, comfortable in the silence. After a while, June sat there too. Days passed, then weeks. They talked slowly, the way people do when they mean what they say.
The field is vast, isn't it?
Yes, but there's a peace under this tree. The house sits right by the road, and sometimes the wind keeps me up.
I know what you mean. The nights can be loud.
June talked about her family. Her sick mother in a small house 2 miles down the road. Her little brother who wanted to go to school but could not afford the books. She talked about these things without asking for pity. She talked about them the way people talk about the weather, as simple truths. Thomas listened. He told her he was saving money to maybe one day have a small piece of land. A little garden, at least. June smiled at that. She said a garden was a fine dream. She never asked how much he made. She never asked about his future plans with any hungry eyes. She just talked to him like he was a good man sitting beside her. And slowly, that felt like the best thing in the world. One morning, Rosa went too far. June had brought a small jar of jam from home, made by her mother, the last jar, from the last good batch before her mother's hands got too weak to cook. She had set it on the shelf in the workers' shed while she started her morning row. By break time, the jar was gone. Rosa and the other women were laughing near the water pump. One of them had red jam on her fingers. June stood very still. Her face did not crumble. She did not scream or cry. But Thomas saw her eyes go shiny for just a moment before she blinked it away and went back to work. That was the moment Thomas could not stay quiet.
I have seen the records. You took more than your share, Sarah.
You don't know what you're talking about, Cooper.
He walked to Rosa and spoke in a low, calm voice. That jar belonged to someone who deserved better. I think you know that. Rosa laughed. And who are you, Tom? You're nobody. Just a field hand. Thomas looked at her calmly. Today, he said, I am. But I would still be ashamed to do what you did. He turned and walked away. Rosa sneered, but something in his voice made the laughter feel hollow. On a Friday at the end of that month, Pete came to the field to talk to Thomas about a delivery from the city. Pete forgot himself for one moment. Mr. Cole, he said, the truck is coming Saturday morning. He stopped. His face went pale. The workers nearby went very quiet. Thomas closed his eyes for just a second. Then he turned around. The workers were staring. Rosa's mouth was open. June had gone still. Thomas looked at her first, only at her, when he spoke. My name is Thomas Cole. This is my farm. I worked here these weeks because I wanted to understand something. A long silence. Then Rosa made a strange smile and started to walk toward him. Thomas, I always thought there was something special about Rosa, Thomas said, without looking at her. You are dismissed from this farm. Please collect your things. Rosa's smile dropped. She opened her mouth. Then she closed it. Then she left.
You've worked hard, all of you. Every bit of this belongs to us. We will make it through this together.
Thomas then looked at the rest of the workers. His voice was kind. Everyone else, thank you for your good work. Always. That evening, June sat under the old oak tree. She had not left. She did not know if she should. Thomas came and sat beside her. Not as an owner, just as Tom, the man who had shared her bench for weeks. I'm sorry, he said, for not telling you the truth sooner. June looked at the grass. Were you testing me? Thomas was quiet for a moment. I was protecting myself. After being hurt badly, I needed to know if someone could see me, just me. June nodded slowly. And what did you find out? Thomas almost smiled.
I never meant for things to turn out this way. I truly hope you can understand and forgive me.
That the best person I ever met eats lunch alone under an oak tree and doesn't complain about it. June looked at him then. There was no performance on her face. No calculation. Just her honest eyes. I like Tom the field worker, she said softly. He's still here, Thomas said. Thomas courted June the old-fashioned way. He visited her mother. He brought books for her little brother. He asked for nothing fast. June loved him back, not in a rushed or dramatic way, but in the steady way that lasts. She remembered how he picked up one side of the heavy crate without being asked, how he sat in silence without needing to fill it, how he stood up for a jar of jam that belonged to her mother. These were the things she kept in her heart.
I take you to be my wife, to have and to hold.
I take you to be my husband, to love and cherish.
They married on a quiet Saturday. The ceremony was small. Pete cried a little and pretended he had something in his eye. June's mother sat in the front chair with a warm blanket and a proud smile. Her little brother wore new shoes. And on Clover Ranch, the fields kept growing, tended now by two people who understood that the richest thing a person can own is someone who loves them for exactly who they are.